should negotiate their political future, not claiming presidency as right, Opata. The southeast region of the country should negotiate and lobby for the presidency rather than seeing it as a right. Damian Opata, an emeritus professor of English and Literary Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, told newsmen at Nsukka recently. Opata, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, said because of the population disadvantage of Southeasterners, they should be more nationalistic. He said, because of population disadvantage, Southeast should negotiate with others from other regions. When we see our powerlessness, reality makes it mandatory that we have to adopt a strategy of lobbying, not noise-making, claiming that it is our right. It is our right, but the right must be claimed. Zoning is to make things equitable. We don't claim zoning by making noise or by noise-making. We claim it by quiet lobbying and not noise in the media. An election is based on population, manipulated or actual, but we must have the population, either manipulated or actual. When you have a state like Kano having more than 40 local government areas, and we have Enugu State with 17 local government areas and others with 16 or thereabouts, negotiation becomes inevitable. On whether the political woes of the Igbo are caused by the Biafran Civil War, Opata said, it is a possibility that because we fought the war, we should be kept away from the Plum Office. The wounds have not healed on either side, on the side of those who fought for Biafra and on the side of those who fought against Biafra. It does appear that the wounds are not fully healed. But having said that, power is not something we wait to be given to us. Power is what we strive to get, and we don't get it by noise making. The insecurity in the southeast is also a big problem. I respect IPOB and I respect their opinions, but I don't think that the way IPOB approaches the issue of Biafra is the right way. Those of us of the new Biafra, I doubt if we knew Biafra. Biafra was known for ingenuity. Lieutenant Colonel Ojukwu then, I was in St. Teresa's College, went about from zone to zone mobilizing people for the Biafran cause. Even students from the University of Nigeria and Nsukka came to address us at St. Teresa to mobilize us for Biafra. There was a well-prepared ideological ground for people to accept Biafra. What ideological thinking has IPOB done to get people to key into their struggle? The Igbos are not the kind of people you impose your will on. Leaders must arise from the people, not by imposition. To an extent, I agree. To another extent, I very much disagree. When it comes to negotiation of power, yes, honestly, when it comes to population, it is a sort of valid argument in a way, because again, if you practice a democracy where a majority gets the vote, then a majority gets the vote. That is literally what we practice, right? But it's not necessarily, I think, because at the core of it all, I think our mindset needs to change. Everyone in Nigeria, everyone's just pretty much selfish on an individual level, and on a tribal level, and on a national level. So it's not a thing where we are so far from where we're meant to be, because a standard for why one should be president should not be where they're from. Because there's been so much corruption, Nigerians don't even trust each other, let alone trust the people that lead them. Even the problem is, ideally, even if a leader was from the north and is good and ticks all the boxes of everything that we want, again, because of history and because of interactions of the past, it is also unlikely that, let's say, the Southerners, or as a whole and generally, the people would be as receptive. In totality, the space itself is already infiltrated with corruption, and it's literally inbuilt and embedded into every spectacle of our constitution and our leadership. So it's a thing where it's like, I understand his point of saying you don't beg for power, it's not noise making, but you also have to understand that in a bid for a certain narrative to be portrayed in a certain way by certain media houses, it will be looked upon as if these people are shouting and noise making. But really, if you actually look at what they stand for and their reasons, you're like, you know what? Yes, things are not black and white. It's probably a bit more complicated to just leave a country. We know that. However, trying to say someone ideologies and their and what they stand for is noise making is very much disrespectful. However, it's not surprising to have that image um or that impression given the way the media portrays them. On the other hand, in spite of what I've just said, with how disunited the Igbos are, I mean, the whole conversation of who is actually Igbo and what section and region does Biafra actually own or who identifies as Biafra, that in itself is already, it's like they're punching themselves in the face or shooting themselves in the foot, because it does not provide a united front, which means you're not going to be taken seriously. The history of the Biafra will obviously make things very much complicated. However, it's a thing where if there has been a certain pattern of power being in the north from the beginning, then it's a thing where it is unfair. It may just be that the Igbos are the ones shouting at, or being the ones that are, literally being the ones that are more vocal about wanting to be in power, wanting to leave, because they're the ones who are proactive and look a bit more vocal. It can be misinterpreted as noise and loud making and trying to impose their ideologies on everyone else, when really it's not the case. So if that's the issue, why is it so complicated for them to leave? Because because things are not black and white, it's like we have to be careful not to go into conspiracies and saying theories that we cannot necessarily prove. That is why having conversations like this, you've really got to be careful of what you say and why you attach certain meanings to actions that are made by the government, because that's what it is. So it's a thing where, the problem is we cannot ignore the fact that as much as we don't want to take identity politics into this, it's very much important. It literally frames our whole society, because at the core of it all, we are really not united. And I think we don't have, we don't have a nationalistic or nationalism. We don't have a sense of unity where we actually genuinely think we are one. So from that kind of mindset, or from the absence of that kind of mindset, everything obviously becomes of selfish interest. So really, at the core of it all is the fact that we're selfish and we're not united. It's as simple as that. And of course, there's so many reasons that you can go back to colonialism, you can go back to different things. However, there's really no excuse. Why are you going to run to? At the end of the day, being divided is really, you make it easier for you to be ruled. So it's a thing where, how can we as Nigerians have a sense of nationalism where we want to be of a certain standard? And I think we can easily unite. It's literally not even hard. It isn't hard, because again, Nigerians do have that sense of pride of being the best and being the giant of Africa. I mean, the argument, you can talk about that later, but like, we do have that uniting factor of wanting to be the best, wanting to show that we are good, and we are hardworking, we are talented, and we know it, we are confident. It's just our country and our lifestyle does not prove it. So it's a thing where if we can unite that, us being us, in our unison, in our love for each other, we strive to be Nigerians of a class, of a certain standard, where education is of a certain standard, health is of a certain standard, our resources and our productivity is of a certain standard, and we can hold our own. That sense of pride will be there, and I think that is that's where it's at. We need to love each other. We need to have that sense of nationalism. So the way we have our pride that we're Nigerians, even though there's some bad reputation that comes with that, we should